News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. Find Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. A 22-year-old Hiram man has been arrested for allegedly threatening to torture and kill his ex-girlfriend. Dennis E. Goodwin was booked into the Cache County Jail last night. According to an arrest report on January 5th, Cache County Sheriff's deputies received a report from the alleged victim describing how Goodwin had made several threats against her. He later drove by the home of the woman's family twice, parking in front of the house for long periods of time. The woman provided deputies with text messages from Goodwin explaining how he was going to hunt her down, kill her, and, quote, cover himself in her blood, end of quote. He also described the pain and suffering he would cause her and how he was not scared to go to jail for what he would do to her. Deputies later learned that Goodwin owned a firearm illegally and had access to his father's guns. He had previously been convicted of drug possession and other crimes and prohibited from having a firearm. In addition to sending threatening messages, the alleged victim described how Goodwin had repeatedly called her phone more than 6 times a day recently, 29 calls just on Wednesday. She had become so fearful that she left the county because she feared for her life. Court records show Goodwin was arraigned during a virtual hearing in First District Court this morning. He was charged with third-degree felony stalking and 3 other misdemeanors. Judge Spencer Walsh refused to release Goodwin on bail and ordered him to appear again in court on January 10th. KVNU News Time is 4:06. KVNU weather for tonight, cloudy skies, rain likely this evening, then a slight chance of rain and snow after midnight. Little or no accumulation, low in the mid-20s. Cloudy in the morning, becoming partly cloudy on Saturday, mid-30s, and then partly cloudy colder, low 10 to 15 Saturday night. Partly cloudy Sunday morning, then clearing, high temperature around 30. It's been to 50. Right now we have 42 at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Roof Rescue. Their experienced roofing team is tried and true and will fix your roof guaranteed. Visit roofrescueusa.com to schedule your free roof inspection. That's roofrescueusa.com. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
Is your family visiting for the holidays, or are they already here? Well, they have laundry to do using your machines, and it'll take away hours from your family time. We'll send them to Mount Logan Laundry with the large 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers that dry 30% faster. They'll find clean, comfortable environment with free Wi-Fi internet and drop-off service, and they'll be back in no time. Recommend Mount Logan Laundry. They're at 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South. Mount Logan Laundry, the cleanest spot in town.
KVNU News Time is 4:08. For a third straight day, the Utah Department of Health today reported a record number of positive coronavirus cases statewide, 9,469. Before this week, the highest number of cases in one day was 4,207. That was on December 30th. The UDOH report Wednesday of this week included 7,247 new cases, and the Thursday total was 8,913. Also, those elevated case counts have pushed Utah's rolling 7-day average of new positive cases to its highest number for a third day in a row, 5,766 cases a day. With 19 more COVID deaths reported since Thursday, the state's death toll is 3,887 since the start of the pandemic in March 2020. 197 of those are from Cache, Rich, and Box Elder counties. There have been 682,036 cases since the pandemic began. The Utah Department of Health said as for the new cases, 272 of the total cases today were detected in northern Utah. The total case count in northern Utah has now reached 37,395. 1,714 in the district have been hospitalized with the virus. Today, 538 Utahns are currently hospitalized with COVID-19. And over the course of the pandemic, 28,163 Utahns have been hospitalized. And Salt Lake City is a finalist among cities vying to host the 2024 Republican National Convention. Politico reported early today that Utah's capital city is one of 4 finalists, including Milwaukee, Nashville, and Pittsburgh. A final decision is expected in the spring. Salt Lake City formally submitted its bid to host the GOP convention last month. It's the 3rd time the city has tried to host the GOP. Previous efforts to host the 2012 and 2016 conventions failed. Jason Perry, director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics at the University of Utah, told KUTV the convention is a political and economic opportunity for Utah. Salt Lake City has a new airport, and a large convention hotel is being built downtown. The city hosted the vice presidential debate last year, and it's well known for hosting the Winter Olympics in 2002. KBNU News Time is 4:11. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Know about it. Talk about it. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
This is the best in talk radio. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.
Generosity changes your life. Outrageous generosity will outrageously change your life. It changes the way your eyes look. It changes the way you walk. It changes the way you relate to others. It changes your career track. It changes the way you teach and work with employees. It changes the way you work while you're at work for your employer. It changes your life.
Evenings on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have 2 guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Friday, January 7th. I'm Jason Williams, Bill Walter here in the studio as well. Andy Morgan joining us at 5 o'clock for the People movie show. Last week we had our last show of the year, recapping 2021 and looking ahead a bit into 2022. We'll finish that up today, talking about the upcoming award season. We were going to talk about Sundance, but that is it's kind of up in the air at this point. The Sundance Film Festival crew announced on Monday that they were actually canceling the plans for in-person Sundance. This was due to the spread of the Omicron variant, and it is pretty bad here in Utah, as expected. So the Sundance Film Festival crew is planning a film festival, but how that works, we don't know. And the second question is, will all the films that we were going to talk about that are in the catalog actually be available? Where they're moving to a virtual film festival, there may be a bit of a limit on what they can do, as was the case last year. So we'll see. We'll have to put a pin in that one. Award season moving full steam ahead, although there is talk of some delays as far as award shows and things like that. They were hoping to have those in person as well this year, but this is not just a Utah thing with the spread of the Omicron variant at very high rates. Higher than, we're seeing case counts higher than we've ever seen here in Utah, and that's happening for the most part throughout the nation. We'll see if those award shows get postponed, but we'll talk about them a bit in hour two. And there are some new movies in theaters as well. So yesterday you got a surprise movie review from Charlie, of all folks, our theater guy and CashValleyDaily.com news team member. Charlie talked a little bit about the West Side Story movie. This is the Steven Spielberg remake of the 1960s classic. And as Charlie said, it's a good movie. He was disappointed with some things, but it's something worth seeing, Charlie said. So not a bad idea if you're looking for something to see this weekend. Ghostbusters Afterlife hitting the virtual rental shelves, I guess you'd say. And that's actually going to be probably a big thing as that rolls out this weekend. It was kind of underperformed in theaters, and since then it seems some excitement has grown for this. So I've posted some photos to our Facebook page. I attempted on very short notice to get a guest from USU's Watershed Sciences department to talk about this. Unfortunately, everyone had kind of either was on campus and busy or had left campus already for the week, so we weren't able to make that happen. But check these photos out. This was the Blacksmith Fork River 2 days ago. It was just, about 6 inches of snow right down to the water edge. And I'd taken my dogs up there for a run, try to keep them entertained, try to keep myself entertained on my lunch break. Working from home, it's funny, Bill, working from home now for going on, in March, it will be 2 years exactly. And I've enjoyed it in a lot of ways. It's actually made my... I can do more in less time than before.
But you go a little stir crazy, and
you do.
I'm sure the dogs do too.
You go nuts. And then if you've got dogs, they're constantly, they think, well, if you're there to entertain them, right? That's how dogs see things. So I've had to get pretty creative. So there are a lot of, especially in the summertime, lunchtime trail runs and things like that. And it's a real privilege to live in Cache Valley where you can do things like that. I feel bad for people who are in this situation where suddenly their job is mainly working from home. And again, there are a lot of things that are enjoyable about that. I've learned a lot about my own day job and my business and things that would have made things more efficient that I just never tried before, but had to after everyone started working from home in 2020. So there are a lot of benefits to it, but you do go nuts. And some days you just have to get out. And so you get creative. And so I found a lot of great places to run dogs on an hour-long lunch break. The Blacksmith Fork River Trail is one of them. And it's a beautiful trail. I hate to even say it because it's already a little more crowded some days in the summertime for my liking. But it seems to be, it's just great for people to get out. And it's a beautiful place to walk. And it's a good couple, maybe even 3 miles if you do the whole thing. 2 days ago, again, just about 6 inches of kind of slushy, sometimes frozen snow right down to the water's edge all along the river. And then we got this warm spell and a day of rain and a lot of melting at the same time. I don't know when this happened, but suddenly there is a sheer, and I mean completely vertical on its water edge, 6 feet ice wall around the Blacksmith Fork River. And it's just stunning to see. I've never seen anything like it. I know this happens as, when you get a warm spell, when you've got a river that's mainly frozen with a good 6 inches of ice in some spots on the top. And then suddenly you get a warm spell and a lot of rain. So the water levels go up, that ice starts to break apart, and then towards the lower ends of the river, coming out of a canyon like Blacksmith Fork, the water levels get pretty high. But I'm not exaggerating, and you can see the photos. I posted them to our Facebook page. Some were sent in by listeners, but I snapped a few myself, and I've collected them all and put them on our Facebook page. But it is literally a 6-foot wall of ice that's been pushed up on every stretch of the banks of the river, and then the water cutting through has just shorn it off just completely. It's a vertical wall on each side of the river, and it's just absolutely striking to see. It looks man-made. That's how out of the ordinary this seems. So I've posted some photos on our Facebook page, and you should check them out. I've heard that there's a bit of this happening along the lower, outside of the canyon portions of the Logan River as well. Didn't have a chance to check that out, but if anyone has and snapped some photos, send them our way. We'll include them in that photo set on Facebook. But it's just a cool thing to see. And now the water level's back down to normal, so it just even makes that ice walls on each side of the river stand out even more. Beautiful stuff, and strange warm weather. The snow, a lot of yards I noticed coming through Logan, already seeing grass. The snow gone out there.
Yeah, 50 degrees today.
That's pretty warm for January. So I'm glad though all the ice is gone from the gutters. All the dripping has stopped. So no complaints from me. But as far as snowpack goes, we're actually looking pretty good right now. This doesn't mean we don't have a drought issue next summer, necessarily. If things keep up this way, it does mean that. So fingers crossed this type of weather extends into March, preferably, at which point we could probably safely say there will not be a drought as bad as last summer. The snow we've got right now, though, snowpack currently throughout, I would say probably 3/4 of the state right now. Now, we're still in severe drought conditions here, and that's because this is snowpack, not necessarily water in the grounds, saturation around reservoirs, things like that. And so, we won't move out of that severe drought, even if this weather pattern holds up until March. Probably won't move out of that severe drought designation until things really start to melt, maybe towards the end of February, first part of March, and then maybe we'll see things change enough that designation will change. But as far as snowpack goes, about 120% of normal in a good 3/4 of the state. And again, that could melt off very quickly, leaving us in trouble for the summer months again, if it's going to be a dry summer again. This much water is great, but also conservation efforts are going to be a big focus if, again, it's going to be dry throughout the summer one more time. Even with this much snowpack, we've still got to be careful and make sure it lasts. But right now, at least, things look really good out there. If you'd like to see the snowpack map and all the blue, which anything dark blue on this map you see is above normal. So on average, 120% of normal in the majority of the mountains along the Wasatch Front and Wasatch Back. And that's a pretty good sign, at least odds-wise, that we'll be able to enjoy a summer that is not quite so panicked over water. Although, with the legislative session coming up, water is going to be the topic of the session. We'll talk about that. Elections this year. I'm not ready for it, but a listener sent in a question, so I did some asking around because of some rumors that this listener had heard from inside county party politics, and we've got some answers on this. We had some upsets in the last election cycle here in Cache Valley, and listener wanted to know if anyone has heard of any of the lawmakers who lost, incumbents who lost in 2020, were planning to make another run. We'll talk about it on the other side. This is KVN News for the people.
Let's start the new year right with a huge winter clearance at Daryl's. You know us for our scratch and dent appliances. Now save an extra 10% through January 8th. We also have selected appliances marked down to move. Plus, get 18 months financing on your purchase. And you'll get Daryl's exclusive 2-year additional warranty and our famous Daryl's difference, because service always comes first. Daryl's, west on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
Ah, that's better. Trade in the stresses of building a new home for relaxation. Visionary Homes Priority is giving you a stress-free building experience. Named the best home builder in northern Utah, Visionary Homes team will guide you seamlessly through the home building process. Call today, 435-228-4702, or visit visionaryhomes.com to learn more about upcoming communities in Nibley, Logan, and Smithfield. Visionary Homes, built for living, built for you.
What makes essential workers essential?
We build safe roads for you to drive on.
We harvest fresh produce for your families to eat.
We help you heal when you're sick.
We get you where you need to go.
We keep where you work and live clean and safe.
We make sure you get what you need to make your household work.
You're the essential workers who help our nation run. You're in every city, town, and corner of our country, and you come from all over the globe. And you have essential protections under the law. I'm Marty Walsh. The Wage and Hour Division at the Department of Labor helps ensure you receive the essential protections you deserve. If you have questions about your pay or about your job protection during an illness, visit our website or call 866-4US-WAGE. That's 866-487-9243. We can provide help in more than 200 languages.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Labor.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Listener sent an email in this morning. They'd heard some rumors, and I won't repeat the rumors on air because I don't want to stir up any potential controversy in or political circles here in the Valley. And they are just rumors at this point. And that's basically the news I have to report, is that they are just rumors. But listeners said that they had heard some rumors and wanted to know if we or our news team had heard anything official about. So in 2020, we had some upsets. We had longtime State Senator Lyle Hilliard lost the primary in the Cash Republican Party primary that June of 2020, meaning that, obviously the Republican was going to win the race, and meaning that we now have State Senator Chris Wilson instead. And a listener said, not talking about that race, but there was another upset in the House district in the northern part of the Valley, in which incumbent Val Potter lost to now freshman lawmaker Mike Peterson. And listener said they'd heard rumors, and they were just curious if we had heard anything official on Val Potter filing to reclaim that House seat. No. My first reaction to this email was way too early on two fronts. One, too early for me. I'm not ready for this yet. But also too early as far as any likelihood of, if I had to make a prediction, which I'm really hesitant to do because politics has just been so weird the last several years, but even locally. But if I had to make a prediction, I would say that Representative Peterson gets primaried. And I say that for a couple of reasons, but mainly one thing that doesn't work well in Valley politics is being a lawmaker that is kind of focused on national issues and hyper-political issues and issues that aren't germane to Cache Valley or even Utah. And it appears, looking at the bills he's running at least, it appears that Peterson seems to think his constituents are different than probably who they are. And that doesn't really go well. Former State Representative Dave Butterfield learned this lesson after serving a short period of time, losing in a primary to Ed Red, who was a state lawmaker for a long time at that point. And it's just something interesting about Cache Valley. Cache Valley is very conservative. Republicans win, and in the general elections, and that's pretty predictable and will be again this year. But at the same time, Cache Valley politics, there are the same problems that exist everywhere. There are power players, and they don't like it when they're not consulted. for better or worse, they do call a lot of shots, and they do have a lot of money to throw around to get people elected or to unelect people. But the politics of the Valley, outside of that left or right perspective, the politics of the Valley we're protective of Cache Valley in general, especially lifers like myself and others. And so people, if you've got a lawmaker running issues that you might see discussed a lot on in Facebook groups or on cable news, and that seems to be what they think is important, that tends to backfire. But also, there are certain loud vocal groups, and sometimes I think even elected officials fool themselves into thinking that is who they're representing, and traditionally that's not enough to get you reelected if you do receive a challenger. That's the lesson that former Representative Dave Butterfield learned, that the libertarian wing of the Republican Party just wasn't enough to get him reelected once a challenger filed within the Republican Party circles. So if I had to make a prediction based on his performance so far and the bills he's running in this session as well as his first session, I would guess Representative Peterson, who was elected kind of on a momentum of this opposition to a populist kind of thing, in opposition to the tax reform proposal and the increasing the sales tax on food that was not popular statewide. And that's sort of what propelled Peterson, or probably would have propelled anyone who filed to run, into a win, or at least better odds than ever before against an incumbent. And Senator Hilliard and former Senator Hilliard and former Representative Potter were both very vocal defenders of the tax reform proposal that was, again, extremely unpopular and had to be repealed. So we'll see. But just to answer the listener's question, no, there is no official word at this point from any individual, from the county parties, Republicans or Democrats, on anyone filing for office yet at this point. The deadline is not until the latter part of March. So too early to say at this point, but those rumors, I've heard them too, and that's the only thing I can confirm is no, there is no official word on anyone running at this point, other than I think it's a fair assumption that the incumbents will file to run again. And different than Representative Peterson, new state senator, one term in at this point, or coming up on the end of a term at this point at the end of the year, Senator Chris Wilson. He's actually done an amazing job, I think, of stepping into the role. It would be tough to be a new lawmaker because you're coming from your own personal experience, professional, and living here in the Valley, and you have a lot to bring to the table, or you wouldn't have filed to run, right? Or at least that's the way you see it. That's the only when anyone files to run is they think they can do something that would make a difference. And then you're just thrown into this giant mix of other lawmakers, leadership and leadership priorities, the issues that you don't predict coming up. And you've got to learn all of this at the same time you're being asked to do the job. You don't get a training period. And so Senator Wilson, it's been impressive to watch him. He adapted really fast. He became a careful and thoughtful lawmaker very fast. He stayed away from, different than Representative Peterson, he stayed away from the meme-driven internet politics and national issues that get, a loud vocal crowd excited. Senator Wilson instead has been quite a workhorse. His name's been on a lot of legislation already, and he's definitely stepped into the role, which I think is the most important thing a local elected official can do in the state legislative circles. He's definitely stepped into the role of being a voice for Cache Valley, which that's really important right now. I mentioned before the break when we were talking about snowpack and things like that, that water was going to be the dominant discussion of the legislative session, or one of the top discussions throughout the legislative session. There are going to be a slew of bills regarding water development, reservoirs, water conservation, things like that. There's already a bill that's been unveiled that would basically be a statewide ban on HOAs forcing people to have grass. There's going to be a political fight over that one, but this seems to be one that lawmakers have decided is going to happen, and you can you sort of hear that in the wind as bills like this are unveiled. So I would guess that there's been some internal question asking, and there's a majority in support of this, considering last year's drought and the potential for future droughts. So Senator Wilson, I think, has done a great job of stepping into that role of being there which is really what we elect them to do. I think the most important thing they do is, they're a senator is up against 20 some odd other senators from other parts of the state. A House representative like Rep. Snyder, Rep. Johnson, and Rep. Peterson is going into the House of Representatives with 70 plus other representatives from other parts of the state. And so you only have your handful of representatives for your area. And the northern part of Utah right now, there's a lot of eyeballs looking at the resources that exist here. And water is just one of those things. So there are a lot of lawmakers along the Wasatch Front and in the Salt Lake County and even Utah County areas that are doing their job, which is representing their constituents, which means they're looking at water in the Bear River area and saying, how can we get some of that? Cache Valley lawmakers, and this is, again, where I think Senator Wilson has excelled, even as a newbie to the Senate. He's jumped into that role very quickly of saying, whoa, I'm here to represent my constituents who are saying, we don't want to see the northern part of Utah just become an expendable resource for the Wasatch Front and Salt Lake County. We have a quality of life we want to maintain here as well. And that's an important thing to do, and that's why I would predict if anyone receives a primary challenge, that it'd be Representative Peterson. You can't really do that if you're busy with the cable news talking points and running bills based on those. So that's my prediction. But to answer the listener's question, no official word. I checked with members of our CacheValleyDaily.com news team, asked if they'd heard anything. So this is just a rumor going around, and I've seen it too. I've seen it shared on Facebook this week. But there is no official word at this point. I would predict that there's at least that one primary, maybe more, but I would predict that Representative Peterson gets primaried. But no names, no official word from anyone. And the rumors that I'm hearing aren't even coming from inside county party politics. They're just being shared online. So I think that is just a rumor at this point, though I wouldn't be surprised if by March we see a few surprises along those lines. But again, filing deadline is not until the latter part of March, and a lot of candidates, especially the incumbents, are going to be busy with the 45-day legislative session. They are not allowed to campaign or fundraise for re-election during that time. So we're probably not going to hear any official word from anyone that might step up as a challenger, or even from incumbents, until we get to the mid to latter part of March. So appreciate the question, though, and rumors are always fun. But at this point, if you're hearing anything and you're hearing any specific names, those are just rumors for the time being. 753-5868. We'll be back with more of KVN News for the People on the other side of these headlines with KVN News' Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:38, and the news is brought to you by Roof Rescue. Well, Utah's largest county will be put under another mask mandate in an effort to stem an extreme spike in COVID-19 cases. A 30-day mask mandate was issued for Salt Lake County late today by Dr. Angela Dunn, the executive director of the Salt Lake County Health Department. It requires masks be worn indoors in public, including schools. Exceptions to the order include individuals under 2 years of age and those with medical conditions, impairments, or disabilities that prevent wearing a mask, individuals engaging in work where they are alone, and individuals for whom wearing a mask would create a risk to the individual related to their work as determined by local, state, or federal regulators or workplace safety guidelines. Another exception would be individuals seated at a restaurant or other food beverage establishment while they are actively eating or drinking. Summit County has issued a similar order. And governors across the U.S. took sweeping action during earlier surges of the COVID-19 pandemic, but are taking a much different approach during the record-setting caseloads caused by the Omicron variant. Previously, many of them closed schools or ordered businesses shut down. They issued mask mandates, vaccine requirements, and in some cases, quarantines for those who had traveled to hotspots out of the state. While governors are now sending help to hospitals, they are displaying little appetite for widespread public orders or shutdowns, even as the Omicron surge shatters COVID-19 case records. Even Democratic governors who passed strict mandates early on are relying more on persuasion than dictates. And the Navajo Nation reported 294 new confirmed COVID-19 cases on Thursday, but no deaths for the second time in the past 3 days. Tribal officials say the latest numbers push the number of cases on the vast reservation to 42,234 since the pandemic began. The latest count includes 59 delayed reported cases. The known death toll remains at 1,592. Tribal officials say the Omicron variant was detected on the Navajo Nation by Monday, and the cases totals have jumped since then from 10 on Monday to 35 on Tuesday to 168 on Wednesday. The reservation covers 27,000 square miles and extends into parts of Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. KBNU News Time is 4:41.
If you think it's expensive to hire a professional, just wait until you hire an amateur.
Why the heck is the roof leaking? Larry, you said you got it fixed.
I thought it was fixed, Donna. Everything was fine until it started raining.
Larry, that's the point of fixing the roof, is so we can actually live here when it's stormy outside.
This is David with Roof Rescue. Our experienced roofing team is tried and true and will fix your roof guaranteed. Visit roofrescueusa.com to schedule your free roof inspection. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
KBNU weather, cloudy tonight, rain likely this evening, then a slight chance of rain and snow after midnight. Little or no accumulation, low in the mid-20s. And then cloudy Saturday morning, becoming partly cloudy, colder mid-30s for the high. On Sunday, partly cloudy in the morning, then clearing, high temperature around 30 degrees. It's been to 50, and right now we have 42 at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. Always the best prices on the best parts. That's Napa Know-How. 5 locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores from Preston to Providence. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Cheryl bringing you the daily financial market report on behalf of Jeff Olson and Edward Jones. Equity markets oscillated between gains and losses, and yields were higher after the December jobs report. While the headline number disappointed, there were signs pointing to a tightening labor market and higher inflation. U.S. equities closed lower today. The Dow closed down 5 points at 36,232. The NASDAQ closed down 145 points at 14,936. The S&P 500 closed down 19 points at 4,677. In stocks of local interest, Nucor closed down 2.16 to 114.44. Thermo Fisher closed down 13.33 to 607.07. Wells Fargo closed up 1.14 to 57.77. Walmart closed up 1.37 to 144.89. Chevron closed up 1.77 to 125.03. Auto Lead closed up 0.35 to 105.66. Northrop Grumman closed up 3.15 to 400.42. Amazon closed down 14.0 to 3,251.08. This has been today's financial market report, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and Jeff Olson, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 580 North Main in Logan. If you would like additional information, please contact our branch office at 435-787-8170. Daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
Took my crashed up Chevy to Mako. Look at it now.
After my accident, Mako fixed my BMW. Handled insurance, rental car, it was easy. That's why customer satisfaction is so high.
So choose Mako for collision. And if you need repairs, check out Mako now.
Do you have damage from the recent snowstorm? Mako Collision Repair and Auto Painting Centers can help. Mako guarantees the repairs and will get you back on the road fast. If you're paying for the repair yourself, Mako can save you up to 33% compared to other body shops and dealers. Bring your snow-damaged car to Mako today.
If you're near retirement or thinking about retiring, you probably have questions. How do you make your savings last? How much should you take out and when? You're ready for retirement, but are your finances? Your Edward Jones financial advisor can help you build a strategy to help your finances keep up with your needs over the long haul. You've done what it takes to get there. Now it's time to make the most of retirement. Visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Edward Jones office. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. I'm Jason Williams. It is with my pleasure that I announce a non-political topic. This is another listener email from this week. We didn't get to it earlier in the week, but during our For the People book club earlier, we talked about C.S. Lewis, his life and work on Tuesday's show with our good friend Craig Peterson. During that discussion, we mentioned some other books and asked listeners if they had any recommendations, and a listener sent in a recommendation, and then I had to do quite a bit of driving, and it's a short listen, and so I had a chance to listen to a book called Losing the Nobel, and it's fascinating, but I didn't expect this as I'm listening to the book, but there is a Utah tie to this, and it's a story that I hadn't heard before here in Utah, but many others probably had. There was a long time ago a project underway, and I remember it being in the news a little bit. Supposedly, the University of Utah was going to be the research institution that just changed the world with a type of fission energy that would basically be the cleanest and most renewable, because it could be manufactured in a lab, form of energy. And then the researchers themselves came back and said, whoa, that's not what we're saying here at all. And so it was basically the media kind of getting ahead of themselves a little bit. There was potential in their research for this, but they knew it likely wasn't going to go there. It's an unrealistic. So anyway, long story short, this whole research endeavor was actually nominated for a Nobel Prize, not because of the not erroneous, but the maybe too optimistic reporting around what they were working on, but because they had actually broken some ground that led to a cosmological discovery. They basically, researchers here in Utah were able to do some things that then implemented at certain satellite or telescope locations throughout the globe, led to the discovery of certain types of signals that then confirmed a long-time cosmological theory. So that was nominated for a Nobel Prize, and they didn't get it. I don't think they were even on the short list for Nobel Prizes in physics that year, but they were nominated, and they get a mention in this book. What the book's about, though, if anyone wants to check it out, it's basically about the world of science and scientific research, and the author, a physicist himself, who has been nominated twice over for the Nobel Prize, and actually teaches in a research institution that has won the Nobel Prize twice over the last 30 years and in physics. And he's a big fan. He was a long-time proponent of Nobel himself and Nobel's work and the idea behind something like the Nobel Prize. But he's now a person who is opposed to the whole thing. And he references the way things played out at the University of Utah several times in the book. He also talks about a similar event that happened with the University of New Mexico, another one with some researchers in England and at Oxford. And he uses these examples to show that this quest for this much sought after prize on the part of researchers, even those that aren't singularly focused on it, he says in the book, it's in the back of their mind the whole time. Wouldn't it be great as a researcher if we pull this off and win the Nobel Prize? Wouldn't that be amazing? And of course, there's pressure from their own universities to do that as well, because it means a lot of notoriety, and then after that, money for universities to be the institution that's currently housing and employing a Nobel Prize winner or a Nobel Prize winning team. So the universities themselves are kind of pressuring scientists to chase after this as well. And what the author writes is that in the end, this is completely backwards for the entire purpose that this research is happening. Brian Keating is the author. Again, he's a physicist himself. And in the book, Losing the Nobel Prize, he argues that the Nobel Prize has actually capped research, that it's actually stifled collaboration that could have led to scientific advances sooner than they came about, and scientific advances yet to happen that could be happening now, but people aren't working together because no one wants to share information with another research team and then have that team go on to win the Nobel Prize instead. And he compares it to something we see a lot in, international affairs between countries. There was an issue at the start of the Biden administration where President Biden was under a lot of pressure to share vaccines that we were getting in the millions with other parts of the world, to send aid to some of these countries. And that makes sense, because when you're in a global pandemic, even if you do everything, South Korea has seen this. South Korea pretty much did everything perfectly. And because they're surrounded by a bunch of countries that took a less responsible approach to it, they then ran into problems themselves, because you can't literally just build a wall. I mean, some want to. We shouldn't. And physically, it would be very difficult in a lot of parts of the world to build a wall around your country in a pandemic, or you see calls for that here in the U.S. when it comes to immigration and stuff like that. It's just not realistic, and it's also a very unhealthy way to look at the world. So what that means is that, what everyone else does affects you. And so you see countries that won't share with each other in ways that, just good people would probably do. And he says that same thing. He uses that example, international relations between countries, where one country won't share humanitarian aid with another country that is in dire need because they're in a political fight of some kind. So people die. Human beings are left to suffer because the political leaders are, having a spat. And he said that same exact thing is happening in the realm of science. But he points out that when it comes to science, a lot of this research is not just in the world of physics, but it's aimed at public health. There's research, the research that led to these vaccines that are going to be in the end, what pulls us out of this pandemic we're headed into the second year of. They were developed so quickly because of advances in science, specifically the CRISPR machine and the ability to make some editing in RNA chains that we knew was possible but didn't know how to do before. And he uses that as an example as well. Now, this book was published before COVID-19 was something anyone had even heard of, but he writes about kind of a similar situation. He said, you have this CRISPR technology, and one of the reasons it took us so long to get there, we all knew it was possible, but he hypothesizes that we would have gotten there years, if not a decade before, If researchers have been sharing information, if researchers had been collaborating more, if educational institutions weren't so siloed, if you didn't have, for example, this is a hypothetical example. I don't know if this is how it works. I'm guessing it does. But if you had, researchers at USU and U of U and BYU all working together on a common goal for something like a cure for cancer, that's a pie-in-the-sky example, but still, he said we could be a lot further along. And so he's making the argument that this most well-known prize, the Nobel Prize, we've all heard about it, and you see it all the time. And a lot of times, for example, you'll see authors of books on science with a little blurb, winner of the Nobel Prize. The Nobel Peace Prize itself is a much sought-after prize, and it's, according to Brian Keating, physicist, author of this book, Losing the Nobel Prize, he said it's time to do away with it. It's provided a counter incentive to collaboration, to research, to advances in medical science, cosmology, all the physical sciences, and medicine in general. He said it's really held us back because everyone's chasing this prize, and no one wants to accidentally help a competitor get there before them to win the prize. So he's making the argument that science itself would move faster, we would solve problems faster, and research would have more impact on a quicker timeline at universities throughout the country and the world if we just said, we're not going to do this Nobel Prize thing anymore. Check it out. Appreciate a listener sending that along. It's a short listen if you'd like to, and it's available a lot of different places. I found it at the Utah Online Public Library. So check it out. Brian Keating's Losing the Nobel Prize. And again, appreciate a listener sending that in after Tuesday's book club. Always fun to talk about these things. We'll be back right after this.
NMLS 1817019.
This is Rod with LendRate Mortgage. Thanks to record high home prices, the new conventional loan limit just increased by almost $100,000. So now, anywhere in Utah, you can buy or refi with a conventional loan of up to $647,200. LendRate Mortgage can lock and close on this new limit now. We back our loans with our $1,000 lowest rate guarantee. And with record home values in Utah, those who had less than 20% equity before 2021 likely have enough equity now to get rid of mortgage insurance. Refi using your new value and get rid of wasteful mortgage insurance. Do it with our Freedom Loan and pay zero closing costs. Get a rate in the ones on 8 to 15-year terms. Rates are still in the 2s for 16 to 30-year terms. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendratemortgage.com.
This year, let's do Ski-Doo all winter, no matter the weather, because you've got to love that Ski-Doo feeling. So start off the season with the ultimate winter fun machine and get into gear to discover our state's beautiful landscapes. Take your whole family on an adventure filled with fun through marked trails and snow-covered mountains. Come meet the Ski-Doo experts and learn about the current promotions at Frank May Ski-Doo in Honeyville. Rest assured you'll get a fair deal. Frank May Ski-Doo is a 2-time gold medalist in the 2021 Best of Northern Utah contest.
Wow, your cars look so shiny.
Thanks. I've been taking them to Green Gorilla Car Wash. Thanks to their new ceramic application, my cars have never had such a glossy shine.
Sounds expensive.
You haven't heard about their sale? Right now, their Jungle membership with ceramic coating is half off for every vehicle. Instead of $30 per month, I'm only paying $14.99 from now until September 2022.
That's almost a whole year.
I know. My half-price membership is good at both Green Gorilla locations in the valley.
I better head there now.
The best high school basketball in the state is being played in northern Utah, and every Region 11 high school basketball team is broadcast on local radio and now video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. All the games are covered on air and online with a dedicated broadcast crew for each school. Listen or watch the exciting action of every game, and after the game is over, go back and watch it again. All the details are available right now on CashValleyDaily.com. High school hoops, the biggest games of the week.
That is our time for Hour 1 of today's show. Stay tuned, though. Hour 2 and the For the People movie show is next with Andy Morgan of andyatthemovies.com. We'll talk about new movies in theaters, the upcoming awards season, the pause at this point on the Sundance Film Festival, and more.